Okay. So it's interesting. We just talked about yesterday in the parasha the different signs for a kosher animal, and people don't really think about it. One of the signs is that it chews its cud. We talked about it yesterday. So those who were there yesterday, I'm going to repeat it. So please ask your indulgence if you were there yesterday. So we know that these animals who chew the cud, they have 4 stomachs.
Wow.
Amazing, 4 stomachs. So for example, a cow, right? Imagine, so a cow, the food goes into the first stomach, it goes into the second stomach, and from the second stomach it goes back up in the mouth. And then they re-chew, right? And it goes down into the third stomach, fourth stomach, it comes out. So what is this got to do with kashrut? What is it got to do with kosher? So one of the theories is because these animals are very complacent, they're very happy what they have. Why? Because they're always eating. Yeah, fantastic. You know, the Romans would do this, the Greeks and the Romans would do the same thing. They would vomit everything out so they could eat it again. This way they're always hungry and they're always eating. This way they always benefit from the world. So the cows have this benefit that it's a normal process for them, and therefore they're always eating, they're always happy. And that's a very important trait that we have to try and develop, is to be always happy. Be always happy what we have. And the cows are one of the happiest animals. Only problem is they get a lot of gas. So that's why they're mooing all the time. So it's interesting. That's one of the traits of a kosher animal. That's one of the traits that we have to learn, is to be continuously happy, like the cow. Continuously happy. And how do we do that? So that's really what we're learning about. And one of the problems today is worries. We worry too much. So what do we do with our worries? So this is something I was looking into, and it's not really part of the book, but there is a little page on it. But I want to develop this theme. So we were doing one of the classics of Jewish philosophy, and that classic is Bachya ibn Pakuda. Bachya ibn Pakuda was one of the first Jewish philosophers who put together a philosophical compilation which discusses various topics. It's called Chovat HaLevavot. It's called Duties of the Heart. And you can buy it today in English. Some sections are very, very complex philosophy, the first few sections. But then he has a section over there about trust in God. And we actually did this on Monday nights, a very, very important work about trust in God. And so it's interesting because we know there's a mitzvah to believe in God. Where do we learn this from? It's the first of the 10 Commandments. Anochi Hashem Elokecha Asher hotzeitika me'eretz Mitzrayim. I'm the Lord your God who took you out of Mitzrayim. What does it mean? I'm the Lord your God. And the answer is, believe in me. I am the Lord your God. I did this for you. Believe in me now. You have to believe in me. But that's a very important idea. The idea of knowing there's a God. That's a very, very important mitzvah. That's the first mitzvah according to Rambam, to know there's a God. But part of that mitzvah is not just knowing there's a God, but also to believe that God can help me personally. And that's a very important idea. When we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu, God is our God. We have to think, not only is God the creator, but God is also the interferer. God can interfere with our lives. God can help us in our lives. And that's a very critical idea we don't focus on enough, is the power of God. I mean, we think about a person who thinks about the power of Hashem. You look around in the universe, and the universe is not even a smallest fraction of what God is capable of. So the power of Hashem. So now, if you can harness that power of Hashem and say, listen, Hashem, you're my God, I believe in you, you're going to help me. And we see it right through the Torah. The people who believed in God, and they ask God for help, and God comes through, helps them. So that's a very important fundamental to Jewish belief, is not only to know there's a God, but to trust in God to help you. Because God is a personal God. He's not the creator who walked away, like Einstein says. He's the creator who interferes and is involved with us. So what we have to do is not just believe in God, we have to believe that God is with us. And God can help us. And God is our protector, as David HaMelech says in Psalm 23, famous, even though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, because you are with me. Hashem is with me all the time. You have to imagine Hashem is holding our hand. We're walking down the road, Hashem is holding our hand. So that's very important. A person does not trust in God, it's very hard to do anything. It's very hard to go into dangerous areas. Last night, I take my son to Manhattan. I don't like driving in Manhattan. But you trust in God, what can you do? You got to trust in God. You got to do these things sometimes. So trust in Hashem. That's number one. So trust in Hashem is amazing remedy for worries. A person who worries is a sign they're not really trusting Hashem. But it's interesting because we find tzaddikim who did worry. Yaakov Avinu, for example. Yaakov Avinu is going to meet Esav. He's going to meet his brother, right? And he hears his brother is coming with 400 men. Now, why is he coming with 400 men? He's not coming to help him. He's not bringing the men for a grand reception. He's bringing the men to attack, to fight. So Yaakov is very worried. It says, "Vayira vayetzer lo." He couldn't sleep that night. So now, what he's worried about? Hashem says, "Don't worry, Yaakov. I'll look after you. I'll be with you. I'll look after you. You're going to go back, and everything's going to be fine." So why is he worried? So Rashi says over there, he's worried not about God. He's worried about himself. Is he worthy of God's help? That's what we have to worry about. That's the trouble. That is the problem. The problem is we have to be worthy of God's help. However, there is a technique to be, even if you're not worthy. How? By saying all the time, Chasdei Hashem. Chasdei Hashem. We're not relying on our worthiness. We're relying on God's quality of mercy, of kindness. And Hashem gives kindness, and there's a kindness which is not dependent on worth. And that kindness is called grace. Chen. Right? Chen. Chen is a very powerful word. It says by Esther, but what did you say? But Hashverosh, he found grace in the eyes of Hashverosh. The rabbis say she was green. She wasn't even pretty, according to some opinions. The Gemara says she wasn't even pretty, but somehow Hashem put into his head that he liked her. That's the way he liked women. Crazy, but that's the way it is. So a person can. So grace is, even a person doesn't deserve it, and that's one of the 13 qualities of God. Kel, Rachum, veChanun. Chanun is from the word chen, grace. That's grace. Grace is even though a person's not deserving. So a person lives their life and says, Hashem, I know I don't deserve it, but give me because of your grace. Give me because of your kindness. Chesed. So people go around, I know people in Israel who keep on saying, Chasdei Hashem, Chasdei Hashem, it's Chasdei Hashem. All this is God's kindness. All this is God's kindness. If this is going well with me, it's not because I deserve it. But once a person says, I deserve it, Hashem says, let's check. Let's check your accounts. It's not good. The Chabad Levavot says an amazing idea over there. He says, no one deserves it. He says, even if we're the most worshipping God in the most best possible ways, it's impossible to even pay God back for what He did for us, to bring us into this world. It's impossible to pay God back. So the only quality that we have to rely on in God is Chasdei Hashem, is the quality of chen, of grace and kindness. That's all we have. So it's very important. So a person should say, Hashem, I trust in you, not because I'm worthy of it, but please do it because of your grace. Please do it because of your kindness. That's it. So then it's fail-safe. That's a fail-safe. And just the act of belief in Hashem, that is the tremendous mitzvah that gives a person the power, so Hashem will answer him. It's amazing. Hashem answers even people in the worst situations. Hashem answers. There was a famous king of Judah. I think it was Yehoiachin. Don't quote me on this. But I think it's one of the last kings of Judah who was captured by the Babylonians and taken to a dungeon and put into a dungeon. Amazing. And he was the last survivor of the house of David. Can you imagine? If he dies, there's no Mashiach. That's it. The chain is broken. And somehow they persuaded, and he was a Baal Teshuvah. He was starting to do Teshuvah in the jail. He was an idol worshiper. He starts to do Teshuvah in the jail. What does a person do in jail? He's in a dungeon. He's all by himself. Solitary confinement in a dungeon, a hole in the ground. They lower the food into the hole. Okay, I don't know how you live like that. So somehow they persuaded the queen to speak to her husband to lower this king's wife into the pit so that she can get him pregnant and they'll have a child. Come on, think of the scenario. Think of the scenario. Disgusting, right? So they lower the girl into the dungeon, and she happens to become Nida that day. And she tells him, I'm Nida. What do we do? He said, I can't touch you. They pull her out again. Couldn't do anything. So you can imagine what Baal Teshuvah he became. Suddenly from nothing to this. And they lower again, and eventually the king dies, whatever. Nebuchadnezzar dies, and they take him out and they raise him up. Whatever. It's an amazing story. We just show that even in the worst situation, a person prays to God and it comes through. It's amazing. It's amazing. It says the Chazon Ish, it says sometimes he would spend the whole day praying. He says, why? He says, because the tefillah is the thing that causes me to understand the Torah. If I don't pray enough, I find the days I don't pray enough, I don't pray properly, I can't understand what I'm learning. What gives me the power to learn is the tefillah. A person's got to pray. There's a tefillah right here. Before you go into the Beit HaMidrash, before you go into the house of learning, a person's got to say a tefillah. Hashem, please don't let me make a mistake in the halakha. Please let my friends, my chavruta, be happy with me. Because if he's not happy with me, I'm not going to be able to live with him. So interesting, in prayer before you go in, and there's a tefillah when you come out. Thank you, Hashem, for putting my lot in the people who sit in the house of learning and not in the lot of people who sit in the street corners. You go in Highland Park, a lot of people on street corners in the summertime. There's Pinots, they sit outside, and it looks very good. But we have to understand we're in a better position. We're in the house of God. We're talking about Divrei Torah. It's amazing. So that's a very important idea. The idea of trust in Hashem, and not just trust in Hashem, trust in Hashem's ability to overlook our misdeeds, overlook our lack of merits, through the traits of kindness and through the traits of grace. Very, very important ideas. And that's why the tefillah of Chana. Chana comes from Chen. Her name itself was Grace. What's your name? Grace. Chana. Beautiful. It's a beautiful name. And she attracted grace of her husband, and she also attracted the grace of Hashem. Through her tefillah and through her entreaties, she got... there's a beautiful Gemara in Brachot which discusses her prayers to God. Some of the prayers to God were pretty chutzpahdik. She had chutzpah to pray in a way, Hashem, why do you create a womb of a woman if I don't have any children? What's the use of the parts are not working? You created these parts. Why don't you provide a child to make these parts have some kind of purpose? So amazing. But that's grace. A person's got to pray through grace. Even though I don't get to that level where I deserve it, please give it to me anyway. Because of your grace, because of your kindness. So Chazdei Hashem, saying all the time, Chazdei Hashem, Chazdei Hashem, it's Chazdei Hashem. It's beautiful weather outside, so the guy says, Chazdei Hashem. It's kindness of God. Kindness of God. I'm doing well today. How are you doing? Chazdei Hashem, I'm doing well. Chazdei Hashem. It's all kindness of God. We have to realize everything we get is all God's kindness. It's tremendous kindness. So to build up our trust in God, a person who really has trust in God will never worry. So worry is a sign, is a symptom of a lack of trust. Unfortunately...
Yeah, but it's human nature.
It's human nature, exactly. The Yetzer Hara is part of the human nature.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something which the rabbis had a big problem with, and they tried to abort. They tried to destroy it. Remember the time when they rebuilt the second temple? We talked about it. For those who were here one time, we talked about the Gemara in Avodah Zarah, which says the rabbis prayed to remove the evil inclination. Mm-hmm. And they were successful to remove the evil inclination of idolatry. They destroyed the evil inclination of idolatry. So therefore, for us, it's not so desirable today to go and bow down to an idol. We can't even understand this concept of making an idol and worshipping the idol.
Yeah,
but at one time...
we worship money. That's a kind of idol.
No, we need money. I don't think we worship money. We need the money. To worship money means I will not even spend the money. That's what it means. It's so holy, I won't even spend it. I'm going to lock it up. That's a miser. That's worshipping money. The miser worships money to the point where he won't even use the money. We need the money. It's a tool. Money is not something to be frowned on. In Judaism, we don't frown on money. Money is a very important. It's machzit hashekel. Hashem shows him this silver coin in fire. Money is a tool to be used like any other tool. Everything we have are tools. We can use the tool for good, we can use the tool for bad. If a person goes and squanders his money on gambling and drinking and this and that, obviously the money is bad for him. That person should give his money to someone who can use it better, who look after it better for him. So the money can also be a curse. And the trust fund kids, that they go and they squander their money and they're 25 years old, they're committing suicide already. They don't know what to do with themselves. So, yes, money is a tool. It can be used for good, it can be used for bad. But money itself is not evil. It's the root of evil. What does it mean it's the root of evil? So it's interesting, Midrash, we talked about yesterday, how Moshe Rabbeinu defends the Jewish people from the sin of the golden calf. He says, God, he says, you gave them so much gold and silver, what do you expect them to do? And the Torah says also, Vayishman Yeshurun Vayivat. The Jews will get fat, they'll get wealthy. Vayivat, they'll kick Hashem. They'll build these golden calves, which the King Jeroboam, the first king of Israel, does too. Anyway, so it's important. Trust in Hashem. It's part of human nature. To worry is part of human nature. It's not something which is bad. It's natural. It's a natural thing. But that's where Jews. So what do? We take nature and try and fight nature. Mm-hmm. We're trying to fight nature and elevate nature. That's the whole purpose of Judaism, is the discipline. We talked about yesterday, kashrut. The whole thing of kashrut is discipline. The sons of Aaron, even the Mishkan, there's discipline. You can't just do whatever you want. You can't just bring whatever korban you want. You can't just bring whatever fire you want. Everything is structured. Structure is very, very critical. Success in life is built on structure. So worry is also, it's unstructured. Why? Because just when you don't want to worry, you're busy doing something, the worry comes into your head. So now what's going to happen? The worry is going to divert me from my life. I'm going to be so focused on that worry, I can't do anything. It's going to take over my mind. It's going to take over my life. And that's the fight. That's the internal battle all the time. We have an internal battle all this time. So a person's going to realize, number one is, the worry is coming from the evil side. It's not coming from the good side. If it's a worry, did I do the mitzvah properly? It may be coming from the good side, or it could be OCD. A lot of people today are OCD. Person's got to know, if they keep doing the thing, they keep going back to the mezuzah and kissing it 3-4 times, they have OCD. It's OCD. They're going to get treatment. Only trouble is, if you go to an irreligious psychologist, they may treat you to the point where the mitzvah is not important anymore. I had someone in the shul. She used to go to the mezuzah. She's a young girl. So they took her to the psychologist. In the end, she didn't care about mezuzah. Got to the point where she stopped kissing it completely. That's the opposite. You know, a person's got to be balanced. We need to be balanced. The main thing is to be normal and balanced. And we have to try our best to be normal and balanced within the context of the Torah. So the Torah is trying to refine us. The Torah is trying to improve us. The Torah is trying to improve us with the discipline, with structure. So trust in Hashem is number one, and it's a natural thing to be worried. Natural thing to worry. We're all worried. And you know what? In our lives, we go through periods where everything's going well, and everything is fine. Hashem is shining His face on us, and that's the Birkat Kohanim, right? Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'choneka. Hashem is shining His face on us. He's giving us a lot of grace. And we have times in our lives where we have problems. Chas v'shalom. But we never have problems. Sometimes they're financial problems. Sometimes they're medical problems. Everyone has problems. Everyone has their own burden of problems. Sometimes worry about our kids. You know, everyone knows the story. You know, the 3 women on the bench in Florida, and one says "oi," and the other one says "oi, oi, oi, oi," and the other one says "oi, oi, oi." And they look at each other. They said, "I thought we decided we're not going to talk about our kids today." So they talk about their kids. So everyone has the problem. So what do we do about it? So there's a beautiful pasuk, beautiful verse in Mishlei. Shlomo HaMelech gives us advice. Man, this is free advice. You can go and pick up the book and get free advice. Amazing, from the smartest guy in the world. You get free advice. Where do you get free advice for? Today you got to pay. How much do you have to pay? $150 an hour? What is it? I don't know. $100 an hour if you like it. That's why people come to the rabbis. It's free. It's free advice. You don't have to go to the rabbi. Go to pick up Shlomo HaMelech, Mishlei. You get free advice for life. It's free advice. There's a beautiful verse over there. It's in Mishlei 12, verse 25. Mishlei 12, verse 25. Shlomo HaMelech tells us how to deal with worries. Da'aga b'lev ish yesichena. Da'aga b'lev ish. If you have a worry in your heart, yesichena. We're going to talk about that. V'devar tov yismachena. And something, so da'aga b'lev ish yesichena. Yesichena comes from the word siach. Siach is to have a conversation. A heart. Right? Yesichana has got 2 meanings. We're going to see the Gemara is going to give 2 meanings. The literal meaning is for the word siach, which is to talk. Talk it over with someone. You have worry in your heart, talk it over with someone.
So Mishlei is enough.
Huh?
So Mishlei is not
That's
enough.
why people go and spend hundreds
You need
of
to go,
dollars
yeah.
talking it over to a therapist.
Yeah, the question is, who do you talk to? That's the question. Okay, so we got to talk about that. We have to talk about who to talk about. Who to talk to. Okay. Da'aga b'lev ish yesichena. So number one is, a person has a worry in their heart. Shlomo HaMelech says, in Mishlei, chapter 12, verse 25, Yisichena. Talk it out. But that's one opinion. We're going to talk about the other opinion. Devar tov yismachena. And with something good, make yourself happy. So there's 2 different ideas in this verse. Amazing. This pasuk is so loaded. There's 2 different verses. First of all, let's go to explain this verse. Number one is la'asiach et hadaga. To talk to someone, talk it over with someone, this worry. And by talking to someone and then making someone else your partner in this, you can make the worry go away a little bit. 2 minds, what is it called? The power of unified minds. The more minds thinking about a certain problem, it's much easier to solve. You know, in those days when they had small computers, they had to join them up together to make one big computer, supercomputer. By joining up small computers, you can make one big supercomputer. By joining up people's minds, let's put our minds together and think about the solution to this problem. So instead of one person worrying about it, you get 2 people worrying about it. You have 5 people worrying about it. So it's very important to join other people's minds together. So by joining someone else in the worry, maybe there'll be a solution to the worry. That's number one. Number 2. And then he says, Davar tov yismachena. Divert your mind's attention to something good. So number 1 is talk it through. This is a literal, I'm just giving you a little shot. We'll go to the Gemara. Number 1 is to talk it through. And number 2 is divert your mind with good things. Think about the positives in your life. You know, before Pesach, I had a terrible confrontation with a couple. They're fighting with each other all the time. So I get a text from the woman. She says, speak to my husband. Otherwise, I don't want him back in the house. So I tell her, please, give me a list of his positive qualities. She says, no, I'm not even going to talk about his positive qualities. Right now, he's all negative to me.
That's great.
Crazy, right? But that's what life is like now. People don't want to go talk things through. You get to the point where you're fed up already. So that's it. Anyway, but a person's got to know there's a lot of good in a person's life. Even when there's bad, there's also a lot of good. And that's the trouble, is when people think there's bad, they just focus on the bad, and they think everything is black. Everything in my life is black. Wrong! Rubbish. It's garbage. That's not the way a person should think. There's always positives, always negatives. Hashem doesn't give a person darkness completely. If there is darkness completely, a person can't see the other side of it. Because even if physically everything is black, spiritually everything may be light. We don't really see the spiritual side. A person just sees the darkness of the physical side. We don't see the spiritual light ahead of us. If we could only see that spiritual light, we wouldn't worry about anything. We can't see that spiritual light.
Wouldn't it be a good idea, Rabbi, like even that couple, when you see Tzuras coming, to try to discuss it beforehand, before it gets really
but to
bad?
be married for many years, they're going through the same cycles every time. It's getting worse and worse. The cycles are getting to crescendos now. So they're not getting smaller, instead of they're getting bigger, so that's a problem. Okay. The trouble is they should both take a step back and not be so pressured. The pressure of life is tremendous in America, in the Northeast at least. This is the worst place for pressure, for the rat race over here. The Northeast is the worst place for all these things. There's a lot of illnesses associated with pressure today. The stress of living. Just the stress of living in the Northeast is tremendous. So people are under stress. The guy gets up early in the morning, he runs to Manhattan, and then he comes home and she expects him to do this because she's also working late. Tremendous pressure, both of them. So of course they're going to erupt. Once in a while they erupt. And what better time to erupt before Pesach, when everyone's really busy. That's when people erupt. When do people erupt? Fridays. Some people erupt on Shabbat itself because they're still trying to get the pressure out. It's terrible. It's terrible. Because the day when people should be together and be happy together, that's the only days they see each other to fight. It's tragic. So then, but a person could use their time wisely and not, we've got to hold back. It says, what does Shlomo Melech say? He says, quiet answer, yichaper af, can turn aside anger. A quiet answer can turn aside anger. So the other party's hot, just by being calm, you can slow them down sometimes. They see you're calm, they'll say, oh, if he's calm, why are you going to get angry? So, but to reply with the anger is the worst thing, then you cause a conflagration. But it's very hard to be the one to calm things down, because you get and you want to give back. The natural instinct is to give back. Anyway, let's move on. That's not our topic. Our topic is how to deal with worries. So number one is talk it over with someone. That's a literal explanation. The second is find something good for the mind to think about. Divert the mind's attention. It works fantastically with kids. This works amazingly with kids. The kid is crying, and then you tell him something and he says, what? What's that got to do with my crying? He just completely forgets about what he's crying about and starts thinking about this. And you see the mind straight away is diverted to something else. So adults is not so easy, but we have to learn techniques to divert our mind away from our worries. We have to learn techniques. Just focus on the positive. A person got to focus on the positive and lights in their life, not the darkness in their life. The lights in their life. There's always something good going on in their lives. A person's got to find it. Sometimes we said there's nothing good physically, but it may be good spiritually going on. So a person's got to try and find that light in their life. Ne leragli dvarecha ve'or lentivati. This became a very famous song when I was at least in yeshiva. Ne leragli dvarecha. David HaMelech says, Ne leragli dvarecha. Your words are candles to my feet, Hashem. So where's the light in my life? David HaMelech said, light in my life is your words, Hashem. Your Torah is my light in my life. It's amazing. So a person says, I have no light in my life. Well, make God's Torah your light in your life. How many people, when they're suffering in the ghettos, whatever, you see, look at the Barbanel. We just talked about him and whoever he hears on Pesach. Amazing. He's being thrown out of Spain. What is he doing? He's writing commentaries on the Nach. How did he do that? He lost everything he had twice. He lost everything he had. He was multi-millionaire. He lost all his money in Portugal. He moves to Spain. He makes it back again. He loses it again. And he said, the reason why I lost it must be because I'm not spending enough time learning Torah. So he starts writing all his commentaries. Thank God we have, where are those commentaries? There. You see on top of the shelf, you see over there, all those red books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Come on. Amazing. That's the Barbanel's commentaries written under tremendous, someone else would go out of their mind. And he's writing commentaries. Why? Because his only salvation, his only light in his life was God's Torah. Diverted his mind totally. Starts thinking about the kings of Israel, the kings of Judah. It's very fascinating. So, well, I have problems. Look at their problems. Hey, they caused problems more than they. Some of them were big problems. So interesting. So think about the positives. Think about the positives. So now the rabbis in the Gemara discuss this verse, and they have a big discussion over there. Two great rabbis, Rav Ami and Rav Asi. Rav Ami and Rav Asi, if you look, where are they buried? Anyone know? Rav Ami and Rav Asi were buried in Tiberia, right next to the tomb of the Rambam. Rambam is over there, and you see Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai is over there, Rav Ami, Rav Asi, all these greats in the same location. So when you visit the Rambam, you're not just visiting the Rambam, also his father's meant to be there as well. The Rambam's father, Maimonides, Maimon, he was a Dayan who taught his son. The Dayan, he was a student of Rimagash, a very big rabbi who was a student of Rav Yitzhak Al-Fasi, the Rif, who was a student of Rav Hananel. Rabbeinu Hananel was all these lights, amazing. And they're all buried over there, amazing, beautiful place to go for tefillah. If you're not a Kohen. If you're a Kohen, you can't go there. But if you're not a Kohen, you should go. Visit the Rambam. I try and go every year to see the Rambam. My inspiration. It's all light. The light. He's a light. His learning was a light to the world. And Rav Ami and Rav Asi, buried right there. And they say, okay, so now they're baffled by this pasuk. What is Shlomo Melech saying? Da'aga belev ish yisichena. What's yisichena? Yisichena doesn't mean to talk about it, which we said it was. That's the pshat. So one of them says, Yisichena b'da'ato. Yisichena means get it out of your mind. It means get it out of your mind. And others, the other one says, talk to other people about it. So there's two opinions. What does Yisichena mean? Yisichena means get it out of your mind. So you have a stop. In your head, you should have a traffic light. Red and green, right? We try and use this in classrooms as well. Red behavior and green behavior, right? Huh?
Great.
Use this as well?
No, I think it's a great idea.
It's a great idea, right? So a person should think, imagine a person has a thought in their mind, and that's the way it should be. In Jewish law, we have mitzvot in the Torah. Lo tarturu, it's very hard. Lo tarturu achrei levavchem achrei einechem. Don't go after your heart and your eyes. Which means don't go after, control your head. Control your mind. How can you control your mind? Boy, that's a tremendous technique. The person should have a traffic light in their head. Red, I don't think these thoughts. Sorry, got to get it out of my head. I can't continue down that path. It's a red light over there. So worries, one opinion says, get out of your head. Stop it straight away. The other opinion says, listen, we don't expect people to be on that level. That's a very high level. Shlomo Melech is talking to the man on the street, and therefore he says, talk it out with someone. We can't expect you to stop the worries. And sometimes it's not good to stop a worry. Why? Because sometimes you need to deal with the situation. You stop the worry, so there's bad worry, there's good worry. Good worry is thinking about how to overcome a situation. That's a good worry. But even then, it's better to have two heads than one. A bad worry is, there's no point. It's finished already. Just worrying about the past. It's in the past already. But I'm worrying about it. I wish I did something better. I wish I said that was better. But that's teshuvah. So a person does teshuvah and says, God, I'm sorry. I'll do better next time, and that's it. You just don't keep worrying about harping on the past, and you go crazy. You drive yourself nuts. So it's interesting. Two different techniques to deal with worries. One is a stop sign. Yisichena, get out of your mind. And the other technique is talk it over with someone. Talk it over with someone. Interesting Gemara. It's a Gemara in Yuma. Daf Ayin Ahei. Daf Ayin. So when a person talks it over with someone, the worry is going to be controlled. Why? So number one is because the other person will put the worry into perspective. When a person's in their worry mode, they lose perspective of that worry. It's going to eat me up. It's going to do this. All of a sudden, you talk to a lawyer, talk to an accountant, and they'll say, hey, there's a way out of this. Till you find that right person, though. It's same thing with medical issues. Till you find the right doctor. It's very hard. You can go to all these doctors. Some of them don't know anything about anything. Or they don't have time to worry about it. They don't find the best remedy for you. They don't care about you. They'll give you something generic, which, I don't know. Give you an aspirin. Take 2 tablets. That's what Hashem said to Moshe. You have a headache? Take 2 tablets. See you in 40 days. I'm just joking. It was a joke. The people are troubling you, 2 tablets, and come back in 40 days. Just joking. Okay. But Hashem is not generic. Hashem gives each one their own cure. Each one has their own particular cure. Each one has their own particular life. Each one has their own problems, which we need for our tikkun. Every single person needs their own problems for their own tikkun. And that's the way a person should view the spouse. This Hashem gave me for my tikkun, whatever I need. Somehow this is going to be my tikkun. My children, definitely a tikkun. And grandchildren, that's the best part of it. Okay, hopefully. All right, so that's the best. Okay. So either remove the worry from your head, which takes a tremendous amount of willpower. Mind over matter, really. A person's got total control of their head. Amazing. If we can get to that level of total control of their head or their thoughts, that's a very high level. And how do we do it? The answer is if you can't do something, you usually don't think about it. Usually. That's what the Sefer HaChinuch says. If you can't do it, that's what the Torah says, do this and don't do this. It's telling you, if you have to do this, I have to keep Pesach. So now 2-3 weeks before, a month before, people are planning already. Now, what is their thoughts full of? A mitzvah. Amazing idea. Thoughts are full of a mitzvah. I've got to prepare for Pesach. So or you got Shabbat coming up. Baruch Hashem, person's thoughts now are focused on something good. It's amazing way to control the mind. Hashem is controlling our mind. So Hashem says, why are you thinking these thoughts? Well, I couldn't think these thoughts. I was thinking about Shabbat. I'm preparing for Shabbat now. I don't have these thoughts. It's an amazing concept. And by not being able to do certain things, the person doesn't even think about it. If I can't do it, what's the point? There's no point in just thinking about it, right? Nevertheless, the Yetzer Hara is Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara tells you, think about it, you try and think about it. So you have to try and control those thoughts. So that's the first opinion is, remove the thoughts of worry from your head. How do you do that? And the answer is, there's a God. I don't have to worry. My Father in heaven will look after me. It's a very high level. But again, a person's going to be practical as well. So a person did all their precautions, did all their practical stuff, and they're still worried. That's a problem. And that's so hard to conquer. That's why a person needs to have faith. I prepared all my material, I did all my hishtalut, and I'm still worried. Hashem says, why are you worried? Don't you rely on me? Aren't I going to look after you? Of course I am. So why are you worried? So don't worry. So you did your hishtalut, that's all you have to do. That's your worry. Your worry is, I did my hishtalut, that's it. And number 2 is go and ask people for advice.
Go what?
Ask people for advice. 2 heads are better than 1. And if they give you good advice, that will comfort you. That will make you happy. The good advice will make you happy. So it's very important. There's always someone in the world that has some advice which no one else has. They'll give you advice. It's good to go around, going to this person, that person.
Depends who you ask, too.
Right.
Of course, you have to know who you're asking. You have to know who there's expertise. You have to go to someone with expertise. I knew someone who has a very big tax problem. He went to this account, that accountant, until one accountant says, go to this tax lawyer. He's very, very good. He handles this issue. And the guy gave him a tremendous advice. He saved hundreds of thousands of dollars, which he was so worried about he couldn't sleep at night. He was going to eat up all his finances. So you just got to find that right person. Same thing, medical issues. But until you find the right person, there's institutions, organizations in Israel where the guys, I don't know, he's a chassid, but he tells you which doctor is that handles that situation. Anywhere in the world, he'll tell you which doctor is the best in that area, top of the area. And he sends Israelis here. See, Israelis come to Somerset. There's this. They have a neutron, some kind of radiation which they don't have in Israel, and he'll tell you where to go. He'll tell you where to go in the world to get the treatment. Amazing. So there's always a cure somewhere. You just got to find the cure. Until you find the cure, that's the problem. Looking for the cure is such a problem. That's the problem. And today there's no new drugs coming on the market. It's amazing what they can do today. It's just very expensive. All right. So if you talk to someone and they give you good advice, obviously it's going to comfort you. And even if they can't give you good advice, just getting things off your chest. That's where psychologists come in. Now you hire someone to take off the story of the guy who in New York, he puts a gun to he mugs someone. So the guy says, what do you want? You want my money, my wallet? He says, no. He says, I just need someone to talk to. That's what it takes today, to get someone to talk to. It's sad. No one stops, no one waits, no one has the patience to hear what you have to say. I'm sorry, I got to go. I have something to do. I can't. So just talking things over will get the anxiety off one's chest. That's amazing. It's an amazing concept, just speaking it through. So just hearing, getting the empathy. That's what people want. People want empathy. Someone to understand their problems. That's why it's so important to have a spouse. And it's also important not to overburden the spouse. Everything's got to be in proportion. Because usually what happens, we blow up our worries in our heads. We blow it up. And it gets over. Something becomes a phobia. I can't go into an airplane. How many people today? I don't travel by plane. I don't travel by boat. I have this phobia. I don't go in elevators. What are you going to do? How are you going to cross the street? So a person has to have trust in God and put everything in proportion. So you start looking at statistics. And see, the statistics are, there's less people die in airplanes than die on the roads. It's crazy, the statistics. So So a person should say, I want to go in a car, I want to go in an airplane. Airplane's no problem, but the car's a problem. So anyway, so a person, sometimes we lose track of things. We lose every proportion. Therefore, by talking it over with someone else, we can get back proportion. So that's interesting. And sometimes just the empathy, someone cares, is enough. And that's why a person needs friends and relatives, good friends and relatives. So it's interesting. There's a halakha in Shulchan Aruch. This is brought down by the Ramah in Shulchan Aruch Chaim. So Reish Pechet, which is interesting, which really reads out Rafach, which is healing, refuah, right? So he says, the Ramah says over here, you're allowed to cry on Shabbat of some problem if it makes you feel better. The crying makes you feel better. Normally, you're not a person allowed to cry on Shabbat. But if you know when you cry, you feel better, it's going to make you feel better, you're allowed to on Shabbat because it becomes an awning for you. The crying becomes pleasure. Very strange, right? Some people, they like to cry, so they cry. Allowed to cry on Shabbat. That's what he's saying. If it's going to make you feel better, you're allowed to cry on Shabbat. It's basic. And there's another halakha, which is interesting, is a person loses a relative, they're not allowed to rip their clothes on Shabbat. Now, ripping clothes on Shabbat is a law from the rabbis. It's a rabbinical law. Because you're not creating, you're destroying. Destroying, a wanton destruction is forbidden from the rabbis. But over here the Rambam says it's creation. Why? Because by ripping your clothes, you're fixing your mourning. You're fixing your state of mind. You feel better. So if he says since the ripping is for the sake of fixing, it's not allowed. It's from the Torah. It's breaking Torah law. It's interesting. But anyway, crying is not, you're not doing anything. It's just crying. So there's no Torah law involved. They're just taking away the spirit of Shabbat. But if it's going to make you happy, you're allowed to on Shabbat. If the crying is going to make you happy. So I know I'm talking to women, so I guess, I don't know. All right. That's what women do, right? I don't know. That's what I see. Okay. But a person should try and be happy without...
Because you're happy.
Yeah. That's, huh?
Happiness can make you cry.
I know. That's it. I know. That's what I see. Yeah. That's what it's saying. That kind of happiness is great. You're allowed to cry on Shabbat. It's going to make you happy. Or it's part of happiness. So that is pleasure. That is a pleasure. And through that, a person removes the pain inside. Okay, and then we move to the next part of the pasuk. V'davas tov yismachena. Rashi says, something good will make you happy. What is that something good? Rashi says, learn Torah. Yasok Torah, learn Torah, and that will make you happy from your worries. We talked about the Barbanel, amazing. But that's true about Jews through history. You see, in the blackest periods, Rashi and Tosfot, they lived during the massacres of the Crusades. We can't even imagine how many... I don't know how the Ashkenazim survived. You know how the Ashkenazim survived? Anyone know how the Ashkenazim survived? Besides what God did for them? The Sephardim moved to Ashkenazi countries.
The what?
The Sephardim moved to Ashkenazi countries. That's how the Ashkenazim survived. Because the Sephardim moved to Ashkenazi countries, became Ashkenaz. People don't realize. The vast majority of Ashkenazim are from Sephardim, are from the Sephardim who moved from Spain in 1492. Where did they go? A lot of them moved to Hamburg. Hamburg was the main city of Marranos. Marranos. That was the biggest city of Marranos. So they moved to Eastern Europe. Huh?
How come Hamburg, Germany was
Hamburg, Germany.
run?
Yeah, where the Jews from Spain run? Where could they go? So wherever they could find freedom of worship, which you couldn't find in France, you couldn't find in Portugal, you couldn't find maybe parts of Italy, but Germany. They ran to Germany. A lot of them ran to Germany. Hard to find a place. Hard to find a place to go. Jews on the run, it's very hard to find. Thank God we have Israel today 1 million times. Thank God. A big blessing. We have a big blessing. Any Jew can go and you get citizenship. It's amazing. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. So we better go before they change the law. Before they get restrictive. That seems to be policy today. Stop immigration, right? So we better move to Israel. Get your passport before they stop immigration. Okay. So Rashi says, learn Torah. Think of something good. What is that something good? Learn Torah. Amazing. That's how these guys survive. You look at how did Rashi survive? I don't know. He himself. The massacres started around his time. They killed off thousands and thousands. You see, great rabbis were killed in the massacres. The Crusades were murderers. They're murderers. They came through on the way to the Holy Land, and then who are the biggest enemies? The Jews. They killed the Jews on the way. Just wiped out whole towns of Jews. Whole towns of Jews. In those days, how many Jews in Ashkenaz? There were like, 400,000, 40,000 Jews in Ashkenaz, the whole of Ashkenaz, 40,000 Jews. They killed half of them. So, by learning Torah, it says, it will make a person happy. Beautiful idea. Concept. What a concept. Just thinking the Torah. And it will stop the worries. So learning Torah, misamachat halev. It makes the heart happy. And with the strength of the Torah, it heals all damages of the mind. And that's what David HaMelech says in Tehillim, Psalm number 18, verse 8 to 9. Torat Hashem Temimah, which became a song again, Hasidic song. Torat Hashem Temimah. I'm sure everyone knows this song. Torah Hashem is Temimah, it's perfect. The Torah of God is perfect. Meshivat Nafesh, it brings a person's soul back. Edut Hashem Ne'emana, Machkim HaPeti. And the laws of God are trustworthy and they make a fool smart. And I've seen that. I've seen people go to yeshiva who are real duds in school. And some of these guys are brilliant. I tell you, one of the most brilliant guys I know. He was in the lowest level of math, fourth level of math. You know, in my school it was Hasmonean in London. It was one of the best schools in London. But they had 4 levels of math. I mean, I don't know how they got. They had kids who were really the 4th level math. They didn't learn math. They played piano. That's how bad it was. I mean, the teachers just gave up and they were playing piano with him. It was like, so he was in the 4th level of math, and in yeshiva he was like a genius. The Gemara changed his head. It rewired his brain. It's amazing. So, Machkim HaPeti, literally, it can make us a fool smart. The Torah of God can make a fool smart. It's amazing. So that's what Rashi says. Rashi's advice is, think of something good. What's better to think about than Torah? It's in Rashi's world. That was Rashi. The greatest Ashkenazi rabbi there was Rashi. He was the greatest man. In his world, happiness is associated with Torah. It's amazing. If you associate Torah with happiness, you're going to be learning Torah all day. Trouble is, people today don't associate. That's the trouble with the schools. We have to make the kids associate Torah with happiness. And that's the hard part. Because then Torah becomes a grind. And that's the problem. So even going to yeshiva is not going to help you. If you think Torah is a grind and you come out of yeshiva education does not help you one bit. It just may have kept you out of worse mischief. But the idea of the yeshiva, even if they teach less, but they make it fun, and then the person grows up with the idea Torah is fun. It's very important to inculcate Torah is fun. That's very important. It is fun. And that's what Rashi says. He said it makes a person happy. It raises a person's soul. That's right. Happiness is not what you get. Happiness is the raising of the internal soul. That's really the truth. And that's what a lot of people, they can't find happiness. They have this and they have that, but they can't find happiness. Why is the happiness so elusive? And the answer is we're looking in the wrong places. Happiness is not something physical, materialist. It is a spiritual feeling inside of satisfaction, of purpose in the world. Okay. Beautiful. We nearly finished. Okay. So I barely did half a page. Okay, good. It's fantastic. Okay. So now, let's just recap what we talked about. Number 1, every person. There's no such thing as a person, from children to adults, who don't have any worries. Children usually, their worries are very minor. But sometimes they can make big things out of small things. They get in trouble in school, it becomes like a major thing. Someone, teacher wrote the name on the board because they weren't behaving. It becomes like a massive thing in their eyes. Everything's out of perspective, and then the parents take their side, and their parents blow it up even worse. Instead of parents minimizing it, they maximize it, and they start fighting also with the school. So children, sometimes small things. And you know the story of little Moshe. He went on his play date. So he was away all night, and his mother calls him Sunday morning. She said, "How'd it go, Moshe?" So Moshe says, "It was fantastic, only one problem. I broke a vase. We were playing ball in the room, and the vase, this beautiful vase, broke. So Moshe, how much does it cost? We have to pay Mrs. What's her name, and we'll pay her. How much does it cost?" He says, "Mommy, don't worry." He says, "You don't have to pay anything." He says, "Why?" Because she said it's irreplaceable. Okay, we're going to stop here. We'll continue next week, Bezrat Hashem.
Terrific share.